Well, hello. I'm the Reverend Dr. Larry Macon. Call your friends, call your relatives, and let them know Dr. Macon is on the YouTube channel to talk about how to do effective step parenting. Yes, we're going to talk about how to be an effective, successful step parent in today's world. So call someone and tell them Pastor Macon is going to talk about the blended family and how to be successful in that particular family. Whatever you do, subscribe below. You know, a step parent, sometimes spelled step-parent, is a parent who marries someone who's already has had a child. And so they enter into this blended family kind of relationship. And a step parent is distinct from the natural parent or the legal parent, and is only a parent to his or her spouse's child by virtue of the marriage. And so today we're going to talk about how to effectively step parent your children, your child, your son, your daughter, and move from step parenting to parenting. You know, some step parenting relationships are wonderful and they're filled with a vital role in the family. And so a stepmom or a stepdad can be as close or closer to a child than the biological parent. That's right. There is a possibility that you can move even closer to the relationship as a biological parent. Other families, however, they are plagued with issues due to the children's lack of acceptance of the step parent or the step parent's lack of wisdom in dealing with the stepchildren. Wisdom, that's what they need as parents in order to deal with their stepchild or children. You know, while the Bible does not specifically address the topic of step parenting, there are many principles and examples that may help blended families adapt to their new roles and create a happy environment where everyone can be happy and everyone can thrive in that relationship and in those families called step families or blended families. You know, adoption is a recurring theme in the Bible and has some bearing on step parenting. And so we don't read a lot about step parenting, but there are some principles that we need to look at. You know, even if there's no legal adoption, the step parent can benefit from treating his or her stepchildren as though they were adopted. How so? By offering acceptance and unconditional love as if those children have been adopted. Why God calls himself our Father and helps us to become his adopted children. Romans 8:15, Ephesians 1:5. And so a Christian step parent can model to his or her stepchildren the love and tenderness that God has for us as he is our, in essence, stepfather. We are his stepchildren. He does not treat us like that. He treats us like we are his own biological kids. Jesus was raised, you remember, in part by a stepfather. You see, Joseph was not the biological father of Jesus, but he willingly took on the responsibility of raising a child that was not his in Luke 1:35. Joseph modeled for other step-parents the right attitude towards Mary's son. So much so that Jesus was known as the carpenter's son in Matthew 13:35. And so Jesus was like Joseph's son. He was called the carpenter's son, not the carpenter's stepson. And step-parents can benefit from applying God's instruction on marriage, Ephesians 5:21-33. That's a blueprint for a godly marriage. And when the marriage is secure and happy, the step-parenting will go more smoothly. Read that scripture in Ephesians 5:21-23 and see your responsibility to each other first. You know, in God's design for the family, husbands may be the leaders and love their wives sacrificially. That's what the Bible talks about. But wives must follow their husband leadership respectfully. That's what Ephesians is talking about. That's what Paul is saying. Reverence your husband, love your wives. And so both parents must model their roles for their children. When stepchildren know their biological parent is happy and the home is peaceful, and that it feels like heaven for everyone, many step-parents' issues will resolve themselves because they do not see themselves in a blended family situation. They see themselves in a healthy family. And children feel secure in a home where both mother and father feel secure in their own relationship first. You get your relationship with your spouse right, I guarantee you it would help in raising your stepchildren to become your own children. And so an issue can arise, in step parenting regarding parental authority. That's also something you need to think about and look at. And so often the biological parent may want the step parent to assume the role of mom or dad, but then interfere when the newcomer tries to instruct or discipline, quote unquote, their children, no longer your children. Here's how you raise my children, though they've given you all the rights to raise the child. Jesus said this, a house divided will not stand, in Matthew 12:25. A house divided will not stand. So wise parents will agree on boundaries and consequences before trying to co-parent the children. So talk to the biological parents also. See if you can come on one accord on how we're going to raise these children together. A step-parent entering in an established family structure so often find themselves overwhelmed, and they may even attempt to bow out of all parental responsibilities and say, hey, this is not my child. I didn't bring this child in the world. This is your responsibility, even though they're married to the mother or father. However, the biological parent will just take the lead in establishing a healthy relationship between the children and the new parent. You'll find that it will be easier for everyone to adjust to their new role. Think about it. You have new roles. And so any disagreement or confusion about parenting rules and disciplining the children, they will be handled behind closed doors so the children always see a united front. So you should never try to parenting and argue and difference on how we're going to raise these children and what's the discipline going to be in front of the child. Do it privately first, and then don't let child know. This is how we agreed to do it together. There's problems in blended families, and problems can arise in relation to other biological parent also often, the one not living in the home. In a divorce involving children, parents must decide on primary custody, visitation schedules, and child support. So that's very important. Get that straight before you enter into this marital relationship. You see, these issues often create great tension and strong emotions on both sides, biological parent and also step-parenting. So step-parents can get caught in the middle of something and may be tempted to try to defend their new spouse or stir up animosity toward their ex. And that's never is a healthy thing to do. Do a lot of praying. Talk to God about it. Let him handle some of those things in advance. You see, this doesn't help and often pulls the children into the middle of an adult war. Yes. A wise course, however, for the step-parent is to refuse to engage in anything pertaining to the ex and to watch what is said to the children about their other parent. Don't talk about each other. Don't talk about their mother, their father, their biological parents and all of that to these children. They don't need to hear that. There is a text in Proverbs 15:1, and it applies. It says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So you see, when step-parents resolve to be peacemakers, they bring the blessings of cooler heads and wiser counsel to their spouses. Step-parents have the power to prevent additional drama that goes on in these families by just refusing to be drawn into the skirmish. No, I'm going to be nice and kind. We're going to deal with it, not with loud voices, but low voices. We'll remove ourselves when things get a little bit hot and heated into place and come back at it. You know, any adult who chooses to step in and raise someone else's children, they should be commended. Bible says it is a noble endeavor but it sometimes can be met with resistance from many directions. What am I saying? I am saying wise step-parents never try to replace the biological parent. However, they can create their own place in a child's heart by offering their own style of parenting, not replacing you, adding to it. And so the family must be in agreement about what name the step-parent assumes. And children should not be forced to use, hey, you call me mom now, or you call me dad. If they're not comfortable doing so, they know who you are and they know who their biological parent may be, or are rather. If they're dad, they'll call you papa or father, I don't know. Step-parents can reassure, the children that it's okay to love both the biological parent and the step-parent. You got to realize you are not in competition for anybody else's role but your own. And so if the children complain about the ex, here's what a wise step-parent would do. A wise step-parent would listen and validate those children's feelings without taking sides. Instead of us taking sides about what's going on, let's talk about how you feel about it. And what you would discover that your children's loyalties will fluctuate, and a step-parent who gets caught up in partisanship will one day live to regret it. I guarantee you that. Let's get to the conclusion of the whole matter. I don't want to be here with you all day. You got things to do. The best thing a step-parent can do is to model the love of Christ toward the spouse and toward those children who are no longer stepchildren. You've adopted them in your mind, heart, and spirit. And even when the children reject early efforts to connect with you, step-parents can remember that we also rejected Christ at first. Read Romans 5 and 8. But what God did, He did not give up on any of us, so we will not and ought not to give up on one of us to whom He has placed in our lives, whether they're stepchildren, whether they're girl, whether they're boy, whether they're old, whether they're young. And so God bless you. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you will enjoy doing this marvelous work that God has placed upon you called being a step-parent in a blended family. God is going to bless you, your spouse, if you follow the words of God, if you believe and trust Him every day that you wake up, and take those children and love them, hug them, teach them, train them. If you talk with the biological parents first and say, hey, why don't we get on one accord on these raising of these children? We're not going to interfere with each other. We're going to do what the will of God would have us to do. And you will discover that you will be successful in your blended family that I call a blessed family. God bless you so much. I hope this helped, and we will continue these series on how to blend that family together right. Love you so much. Have a great day.